Hello, I'm Keith Harrison and welcome to FCN. On April the 13th, the new Fiesta completed its first full year of sales, in which it's become the best-selling new vehicle ever in Europe. Over 500,000 new Fiestas were sold in its introduction year, more than 78,000 cars ahead of the next best launch European model, the VW Golf. By the end of 1989, the new Fiesta was already leading 6 European markets and took an impressive 4.1% share of the overall European car market. On April the 18th this year, the latest addition to the Fiesta range was unveiled at the Turin Motor Show in Italy. This new 130-mile-an-hour Fiesta RS Turbo will go on sale here in Britain in June. The car, which has been developed by Dunton's Special Vehicle Engineering team, offers very impressive performance, including a 0 to 60 time of 7.7 seconds. SVE have worked very hard on the ride and handling of the new car, giving it low-profile tyres, higher geared steering and a unique suspension system. And of course, anti-lock brakes are fitted as standard. Another Ford car also celebrated success this month. Only 600 of these all-blue Escort cabriolets will be available in Britain. They've been built to celebrate the production of the 100,000th cabriolet. This very limited edition model sports full leather upholstery as well as Escort's RS turbo wheels and body mouldings. By the way, it's available in any colour, so long as it's blue. Now, recent figures published by the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders reveal that so far 1990 has been a difficult year for the British motor industry, and Ford has been affected by the downturn. High interest and mortgage rates have been blamed for a drop in new car sales. In the first quarter of 1990, new car sales were over 7.5% down compared to the same period of last year. While both Ford and Rover have suffered from this drop in sales, GM Vauxhall has managed to increase its sales and overall market share. But despite the GM Vauxhall Cavalier being the bestseller in January and February, Ford was back on top in March, with Sierra, Escort and Fiesta taking the top 3 slots. And now, in an FCN profile, we take a look at the work of the Power Products Division, an independent department whose success has come from quietly getting on with the job.
Hendy Lennox of Southampton is one of Ford's Power Products dealerships, taking standard Ford engines straight from the production line before customizing them and fitting them into anything from a forklift truck to a Grand Prix powerboat.
I think our principal role is obviously to, as far as Ford is concerned, is to wholesale the range of engines and to wholesale as many component parts that are available to us under our normal franchise arrangement. We have, over the last 25, 30 years, built up a great deal of expertise which enables us to add value to the Ford product.
But why has Ford chosen to market its product through these dealerships?
We, typical of Ford, prefer to sell through dealers. All the systems in Ford are oriented towards supplying to dealers, and we find that our dealers have a greater flexibility than we would have in providing customer needs.
These customers' specialised engines originated as standard Ford units from Dagenham and Bridgend. And it's the quality that's built into these basic Ford engines which makes the final product so successful. And with new engines like Dagenham's 2-litre DLHC, the Power Products division has a busy future.
Nothing is ever the same from year to year. We always have new products to consider, sometimes new problems, but we get a very interesting view as far as Britain is concerned on the way British industry works, because we're so closely tied to them. The future promises to be just as interesting, with even more new equipment and different demands made upon our customers as well as ourselves for that equipment.
Now, one of the major issues which will affect Ford's overall engine development is the public's increasing environmental awareness. But so-called green issues will soon affect every aspect of the automotive business. Here's an FCN special report.
There's no such thing as an environmentally friendly car. Basically, every car is a pollution machine. You get some cars which are less polluting than others, but none of them are acceptable from the environmental point of view. In 1950, there were 50 million cars in the world. Now there are 400 million cars. We talk about the problems of the population explosion, which has added growth of 90 million babies a year. But at the same time, there are about 40 million cars. If you like, you get 2 new babies in 1 new car.
In central London, like any other big modern city, you can actually see how millions of cars create tons of polluting exhaust gases. But this is only half the story.
There are 2 things to the cars, the production and the use of the cars. And I would say that increasingly people are getting more and more aware of the disturbances environmentally from the production of cars as well. So, for example, we have the emissions of hydrocarbons, usually resulting from the painting of the car bodies.
The industry is reacting. At the end of April, industrialists from all over Europe met at a London hotel for a Financial Times conference on industry and the environment. Several major European car manufacturers, including Ford, were there. This attitude of open discussion has already impressed some conservationists.
Thank goodness for Friends of the Earth, thank goodness for Greenpeace, thank goodness for Jonathan Porritt, and even for David Bellamy. We've rolled the ball of concern up to the top of the mountain. But we can't produce a CFC alternative. We can't get rid of the PCBs. We can't solve these problems. It's got to be big industry. And therefore, we've got to go with them. We've got to keep knocking all the time to make sure they're going in the right direction.
Industry began thinking green as a response to consumers. But what prompted this pressure in the first place?
And actually the thing that has produced this enormous wave of environmentalism was the seals dying in the North Sea. That's right on our own doorstep. Those wonderful whales that got stuck up behind the ice, the big oil spill, and the whole world said, hold on, and they actually started to listen to a message which they've been being fed for 30 years. And I'm quite amazed how quickly the big industries of the world got behind that message and saw that they could, perhaps, through green consumerism, keep there as market leaders, but also help us to clean up the world. And I think that's the way to go.
There's just no question that we must, in my mind, that we must think about the environment as a basic business issue. And therefore, when we think about a new product, when we think about a new facility, before we make that decision, or as part of making that decision, we need to think of the environmental implications of building that product, the environmental implications of a customer using that product, and then finally, what will happen to that product after it's no longer useful. And the companies that learn to do that well will be the successful ones. I'm proud of the fact that Ford Motor Company has adopted a policy that articulates just that notion of how we think about the environment.
And now here's Simon Rouse with the motorsport.
Easter weekend at the Circuit of Ireland Rally. 4 of the top 6 places were taken by Sierras, though the overall winner was a Toyota driven by David Llewellyn. The rally was watched by tens of thousands of spectators, and Sky Television's rally program was beamed to 1.4 million viewers throughout Europe. Motorsport has become a serious business, and it's also a very expensive one. So why do we get involved?
We've subjectively felt that doing motorsport was good for us, a bit like eating muesli. You know it's doing you good, but you're not quite sure why. I felt we needed more positive support, so just over 18 months ago we did some very extensive market research in Britain, Germany and Italy. We did it amongst 18 to 54-year-old males, which are a key element of the market for us, and it showed, slightly to my surprise actually, that apart from soccer, motorsport is the key sport in those 3 markets.
There's a very old saying that says, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. And I think that still holds true. It's a cliche, but the market value of a car after it's won a major rally or a major race is just incalculable.
Ford's effort to achieve major rally wins is British-based, in a unique all-in facility here at Boreham in Essex. It's here that these powerful but highly complex cars are developed and receive both constant adjustment and rigorous road tests.
Well, the big advantage here is that, we've got the workshop right on site. if we find something that we think, well, that could work better, or for instance the engineers have come up with something, before we sort of spend loads of money going away to, say, a foreign country to test the product, we can do initial testing here, we can do durability testing here.
Boreham's excellence is typified by its test track, once one of Britain's motor racing arenas. Although Boreham's crowds have now gone, it still exists as a centre for motorsport. But does a place like this provide any benefits for the ordinary motorist?
Oh yes, it's surprising just how many things that we take for granted in a modern motor car started off as a tweak in competition.
And I passionately believe that if there's any snow this coming winter, there'll be a vet driving over the Welsh mountains on better tyres as a direct result of rallying.
And still on the subject of motorsport, Ford driver Gwyndaf Evans took the new Sierra RS Cosworth 4x4 to its second win in the Welsh Plains National Rally on April the 21st. So very well done, Gwyndaf. Incidentally, these days it's not only racing cars that can make you famous, selling them can do it too. Recently, The Independent on Sunday carried an article about Ford's top salesman, Paul Grenell. Simon Rouse reports on the man who shifts enough Fords to create his very own traffic jam.
Paul Grenell of Bristol Street Motors in Birmingham is one of Britain's super salesmen. He's so successful at selling Fords that even national newspapers have been after his secrets. Well, he didn't mind telling them to me.
As a Ford dealer, I would think at the moment there are a lot of rivals and we're having to watch our product and make sure that we do keep up to date. When somebody walks into the showroom, I obviously go up and have a chat with them and get as much information as I can to qualify them in sort of when they're in the market, what sort of car they're after, do they drive a car at the moment, how much they can afford per month, all those type of questions, and then try and obviously sell them a vehicle.
Paul once made the classic salesman error of judging a customer by the way he looked.
I made the mistake once of looking at somebody who looked very, very scruffy and bought an RS Turbo for £13,000 in pound notes.
Last year, 24-year-old Paul sold 15 cars a month. Does he think he can improve in 1990?
Obviously, after being here for 2 years, I've picked up more and more information all the time, and I'm finding learning something every day is really helping. And I would think in the next year, it's going to be even better than it has been this year. And for that reason, I've set myself higher targets.
24, I've got feelings older than he is. Anyway, that's it for this month. Thanks ever so much for joining us, and we'll see you next month. Bye-bye for now.